Hello, my question is one of degree of emotion and feeling. I'm a pretty intellectual person and I seem to be very balanced between honestly okay and good most of the time. Very rarely on either end of the emotional scale. It's not that I don't go there very often. And so my question is kind of, are the rockets of desire that I shoot maybe a little low on fuel or something because of the fact that the contrast just isn't there. I rarely get this strong sense of contrast, either way.
We want to give this to you in a way that will really encompass this magnificent question fully, because the premise that you are beginning with seems to say that powerful positive emotion or that powerful negative emotion has more power in it. And we say a powerful desire with a powerful doubt renders you powerless. In other words, you can really want something, and if you are giving a lot of time to your recognition that it is not coming, then there's a strong tug of war going on within you, but not much evidence of progress, because while you are asking, you are not allowing. So you're step oneing, but you're not step threeing, right. And so you don't have the results. So now let's take the premise that you began with. Let's say that your life is stable, you're not having strong contrast, so you're not giving birth to particularly strong rockets of desire, but when you do give birth to a desire, you're not far from allowing it. So you want it, line up with it, want it, line up with it, want it, line up with it. And your reality reflects the stability of your vibration. If we were standing in your physical shoes, that's the way we would live our life. We would reach for the best feeling thought that we can find from wherever we are. But frankly, we think that so many of our physical friends really like the drama of the strong contrast, because you can feel strong movement. A lot of times, in fact, it's fair to say mostly, that most people would rather have a strong emotion that they are denying than no emotion at all, because you've come to see the strong emotion as something happening. It is, in the sense, more exciting. As we began here a few days ago, we talked about the fun and really the excellence of fine-tuning right. your vibration. And when you are, as you describe yourself to be, feeling okay most of the time, really good much of the time, we would say you are in that fine-tuning mode. If you have a lot of trauma happening that is launching a lot of desire, and you're having to work very hard to get in the vicinity of that desire, while energy is moving and while the universe is cooperating with you, it is a topsy-turvy sort of roller coaster ride that none of you really intended in that way.
So the fine-tuning, it just feels like it's a little harder maybe on the fine-tuning side to feel the difference.
It's harder in the sense that the lack hasn't caused what you want to get right. your attention in a more powerful way. But it's easier in the sense that you don't have so much ground to cover to become a vibrational match to what you want. In other words, when you realize that everyone is standing somewhere, but that somewhere need not or even is not valuable at all to be compared with the somewheres of others. The somewhere that you're standing, the only comparison that we would make is, where am I standing in relationship to what I've become? And what you described just now is managing the contrast so that the gap doesn't get so wide. And when the gap isn't wide, it is more manageable. Less exciting, maybe, but more manageable. So what we've noticed with a lot of you, even with Jerry and Esther, especially with Jerry and Esther, they're like you. They're stable, feeling good, but that doesn't mean they can't stir up drama. And when they do, they really feel it. And what it always causes them to come around to is, we want to do a better job of managing our gap. In other words, when you don't have to launch rockets from a painful position, we say, why do it? Why not find stability? In other words, of course. Now here's what you're helping us lead to, and it is really what we want to talk about in terms of the fine-tuning of vibration. If you are really, really sick, you would launch a really, really big rocket of desire about wellness, but you'd be really, really far in your average chronic vibration from allowing the big time wellness that you'd ask for, because in order to get really, really sick, you had to beat the drum of lack of many, many things for quite a long time. So you've got habits of thought that you're not likely to overturn immediately. On the other hand, you could be really, really well and deliberately appreciating your wellness, breathing on purpose, basking on purpose, taking walks, noticing your flexibility, enjoying your endurance and stability, enjoying the vitality of your being, noticing how sharp your mind is, noticing how much fun you're having, noticing the beauty of the planet. And in that deliberate tuning of your vibration, you're not needing to dip back into unwanted in order to become a vibrational match to so many things that in less aligned times you put into your vibrational escrow. So the big question that we hear you asking, at least it's the answer that we want to give you, so we're going to use it as an excuse. Well, we hear it from all around the planet, is it necessary for me to endure big wads of contrast in order to have my growth experience?
Or build that vibrational escrow.
Well, that's the beginning of the growth experience, isn't it? In other words, you have to put it into your vibrational escrow before law of attraction begins to respond to it in that way, and before you are called to it. And so if you are not paying attention to your, now here's the answer, and you're going to really like this. If you, and you already told us that you're a sensitive person, and so that's a wonderful thing. But if you are immune to the way you feel, if you've been taught to just buck up and persevere, and that life is hard and that's just the way it is and deal with it, and negative emotion is normal, and so you've sort of gotten into the habit of being ornery about things, being negative about things, of being pessimistic about things, of pushing against things, so that you're not alert to the fact that you're resistant while you're having those emotions, then for you, you're going to need some pretty big contrast in order to even get your attention about deciphering which way you want to look. In other words, if you have acclimated to not feeling good and you still want expansion, it's going to take some pretty contrasting experiences for it to even get your attention. But if you are, as you are, if you are sensitive, if you are aware of the subtle nuances, if you are aware that you feel okay but you could feel better, and you feel pretty good but you could feel fabulous, you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, but you could goose that up to a higher state of exhilaration, if you find yourself a little doubtful and you practice being hopeful, and then from your place of hopeful you beat the drum of it until you feel that you really believe or know it, when you start caring enough about how you feel that it's not all right with you to feel okay, you want to feel exhilarated. In other words, you get to the place where you can get so high on life that you're not just wanting to avoid arguments with people, you want stimulating conversations, and anything less than a stimulating conversation is just not what you're looking for today. Where some are happy to be bored rather than in hot water over something, boredom is not something that's even tolerable for you. You must have something fascinating and interesting and calling you, you see. So the more sensitive, so what happens is everything takes care of itself, because when Jerry has something that he's been saying for a while that's a little bit on this subject. It is the joke that he tells about the old lady who said, it's so nice that by the time your face is full of wrinkles, your eyes are so dim that you cannot see them anyway. And in a sort of similar patterning, we want to say to you that if you've got strong contrast going on, you're usually not sensitive to that strong contrast at the same time. When you meet people that have those big gaps between where they're usually beating the drum and what's really in their vibrational escrow, they always, almost always, or always, pretty much always, so close to always that we could say always, are the ones who are insensitive to the way they feel, and they just blurt all of that stuff that you know isn't good for them, but they don't even know they're doing it because they have acclimated to that split energy, where you often see someone who is really living a wonderful life, who is the one who is being more precise about the way they are directing their thoughts, not just because they've learned that that's the way to create what they want, but because it is intolerable not to feel as fabulous as you have felt. And what we're really talking about here is this very important premise. It is a law of the universe that when you accept it and then do your best to live by it, it serves you enormously well. There is no regression. You can't go back from that which life has caused you to become. So when contrast, small or great, has caused you to ask for something beyond where you are, if you are to be the fulfilled and completely joyful being that you were born to be, you must go in the direction of it. Because opposite thought from who you've become does not feel good. And all we've been talking about here in this entire discussion is the degree of separation.
Right.
Excellent. Yes, indeed.